Hi, everyone. Welcome to the second day of SASA's Virtual Conference 2024. The conference is about representations of the past in ancient and modern times. And I'd like to hand things over directly to Manmeet, who is our moderator for today.
Thank you, David. I would like to welcome all for our fourth session, which is on art and aesthetics. So, from India to Iran to Toronto, our presenters in this panel will shed light on the ever evolving, often recycled and repurposed art and aesthetics of cultures past and present. The identities of those bound up in the creation and representation of sculpture and architecture are always at play. So today, our first presenter with us today is Vartika Kushwaha. Vartika is a research scholar at the University of Lucknow, Uttar Pradesh, India. She has a master's degree in ancient Indian history, culture, and archaeology from the University of Lucknow and has authored a research paper on importance of Purushartha and Ashrama system in ancient India during her master's. She is passionate about research and to bring change in society through her research. Her expertise include deciphering ancient scripts like Brahmi, analyzing artifacts, interpreting historical texts to reconstruct the past culture of ancient India, and GIS mapping. Apart from this, Vartika is a part of non-governmental organization named Umeed Foundation, which conducts cleaning drives, food distribution, plantation, etc. Beyond academic pursuits, she is actively involved in heritage conservation efforts and community engagement projects aimed at raising awareness about India's cultural legacy. She is also an avid traveler exploring archaeological sites and historical landmarks to deepen her understanding of ancient Indian civilizations. Driven by a quest for knowing and a commitment to preserving India's cultural heritage, she is dedicating to contributing scholarly research that sheds light on the vibrant tapestry of ancient Indian history. So today she will be presenting on Unveiling the Veiled, tracing the historical position of transgender individuals in ancient India. So I would like Vartika to turn on the camera and unmute herself.
Thank you for the wonderful introduction.
So now you can share your presentation.
Is it visible?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so shall I start?
Yes, yes, please.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Vartika, and it is my distinct honor to present my research paper titled Tracing the Historical Position of Transgender Individuals in Ancient India at the Save Ancient Studies Alliance Virtual Conference 2024. This year's theme, Representation of Past in Ancient and Modern Times, provides a perfect backdrop for our exploration of gender diversity in ancient Indian history. So, the representation and acknowledgement of transgender individuals have evolved considerably over centuries. Today, I aim to take you on a journey through ancient India, uncovering the rich and often overlooked history of transgender individuals. This research examines the roles, societal acceptance, and cultural nuances that shape the experiences of transgender individuals from Vedic period, that is 1500 BC to 1200 AD, by revisiting historical texts, inscriptions, and artistic depictions. we can gain insights into the lives and contributions of transgender individuals in ancient Indian society. It examines how shifts in power and ideology influence the acceptance or marginalization of this community, highlighting the resilience and adaptability of transgender individuals throughout history. The history of transgender individuals in ancient India is a testament to the fluidity and diversity of gender roles within the societal framework of the time. This research will contribute to a more comprehensive understanding of transgender history in India, shedding light on the acceptance and tolerance that characterized ancient society. It will challenge contemporary perceptions of gender roles by highlighting the fluidity and recognition of diverse gender identities in the past. The historical role and societal position of transgender individuals in ancient civilization often remain obscured or overlooked in mainstream narratives. By exploring ancient India, we shed light on a segment of history that is both fascinating and profoundly impactful on contemporary understanding. Okay, so transgender's origin, terminology, and theory. The identity of an individual is defined on the basis of gender, religion, caste, class, race, and ethnicity. However, all humans do not fit in the male female binary. Those who do not fit into these two categories are referred to as transgender or third gender. Transgender community comprises of Hijras, eunuchs, Kothis, Aravanis, Kinnars, Jogappas, Shiv Shaktis, and etc. It is claimed that the third gender has a strong historical presence in Hindu mythology, and the concept of Tritiya Prakriti or Napumsak has been an integral part of ancient literature. It can be inferred that Vedic culture recognized three genders. Various texts suggest that third sex individuals were well known in pre modern India and included male bodied or female bodied people as well as intersexuals, and that they can often be recognized from childhood. A third sex is also discussed in ancient Hindu law, medicine, linguistics, and astrology. The Vedas describe individuals as belonging to one of three separate categories according to one's nature or prakriti. These are also spelled out in Kama Sutra as Pum's Prakriti, that is male nature, Stri Prakriti, that is female nature, and Tritiya Prakriti, which is third nature. The foundational work of Hindu law, Manusmriti, explains the biological origins of the three sexes. A male child is produced by a greater quantity of a male seed and a female child by the prevalence of the female. And if both are equal, a third sex child or a boy and girl twins are produced. If either are weak or deficient in quantity, a failure of conception results. Uh, Indian linguistic Patanjali's work on Sanskrit grammar, the Mahabhashya, states that Sanskrit's three grammatical genders are derived from three natural genders. The earliest Tamil grammar, Tolka PM, also refers to the hermaphrodites as a third neuter gender in addition to a feminine category of unmasculine male. In Vedic astrology, the nine planets are each assigned to one of the three genders. The third gender, Tritiya Prakriti, is associated with Mercury, Saturn, and Ketu. In the Puranas, there are also references to three kinds of gods of music and dance. Apsaras are the female ones, Gandharvas are the male ones, and Kinnars are the neutral ones. According to Butler, gender is the ideology which shapes sex. She suggests that sex is culturally constructed as gender, and she concludes that if that is the case, then gender and sex are the same. The transgender includes varieties of gender non conforming identities which are shaped by culture, race, caste, and class. The old school of modern belief that gender has only two poles or binaries, male or female, is definitely redundant. Gender fluidity is a concept of not rendering gender as a fixed point, but rather as fluid characteristics that can change at any time according to the individuals who are considered as neither man nor women by uh, themselves or by society fall in category of third gender or third sex. This third gender consists of hermaphrodites, women who do not menstruate, as well as passively homosexual and castrated men who all proclaim that they are neither men nor women. So now what the great Indian epics Ramayana and Mahabharata tells us about the history of transgender. Hindu mythology and religious narratives offer rich insights into the fluidity of gender roles. We have a story in Ramayana, which is a great chronicle of the Hijras, who are supposed to be a confused synthesis of male and female beings in one. The episode narrates that when Ram was sent into exile with his wife Sita at the behest of his father, he was followed to the banks of river by his devout subjects. On reaching the shore, he addressed his people, saying, "Men and women, please go back and perform your duties." But when he returned to Ayodhya 14 years later, after his victory over Ravan, Ram found a cluster of people still gathered at the same spot. On the query of Ram, they told him that since they were neither men nor women, they had felt themselves exempt from Rama's injunction. For such act of exemplary devotion, they were endowed with with the blessing of Ram. Now comes the story of Shiva's incarnation. In ancient myths, Shiva is the incarnation of creative asceticism, and therefore Shiva was once asked to create the world, but he took so long to do that. So the power of creation was given to another creator, Brahma. When Shiva understood his delay and came to learn that the world was already created by Brahma, he became so angry that he broke off his own phallus, saying there is no use for this, and threw it into earth. Paradoxically, on Earth, the phallus of Shiva proved to be the failure of individual fertility, but it became the source of universal fertility. Similarly, the Hijras are individually important, but culturally, they are the images of blessing to others. Next is the story of Aravan from Adi Parv of Mahabharata. Ravan was the son of Arjun and one of his wives, Ulupi, the Naga princess. For assuring the victory of Pandavas in a war with Kauravas, Kali Puja was to be done. In that puja, the sacrifice of human was necessary. Ravan agreed for being sacrificed. Lord Krishna was so much pleased with the Ravan's self-sacrifice that he granted him three boons. One of Ravan's wish was to marry before his death. Uh, No woman agreed to marry Ravan due to his destined death in the near future. Krishna himself changed his form into Mohini and married him. It is from Aravan's lineage after his association with Krishna's female form that the transgenders are said to have been born. And that is why transgenders are also called Aravanis in Tamil. There are some cults in South India who worship Aravan in Tamil Nadu. During an 18 days festival is celebrated commemorating his heroic death in Kurukshetra. The festival begins with ceremonial marriage and widowhood is celebrated after the scene of Ravan's sacrifice. Next is Brihannala and Shikhandi from Mahabharata. Devdatti Patnaik and Alan Daniel provides comprehensive analysis of these mythological figures, emphasizing the complexity of the gender roles in ancient narratives. Arjun, who assumes the identity of Brihannala, and Shikhandi, who defies traditional gender norms, exemplify the acceptance and integration of gender diversity in ancient Indian epics, challenge traditional norms, and highlight the complexity of gender roles in ancient narratives. Myths of Hijras eventually became so popular that even the epic hero Arjun in the fourth book of Mahabharata, entitled Virat Parv, took the guise of Vihanana for 1 year and participated in various types of celibacy and merrymaking. Next is Ardhanarishwar. Ardhanarishwar literally means God with half man and half woman form. The Ardhanarishwar is a combined form of Hindu deities Shiva and Parvati, representing a blend of masculine and feminine energies. Sankhya Karika explained that the Purush and Prakriti are two distinct eternal entities. Prakriti has three qualities: Sattva, purity or preservation; Rajas is creation; and Tamas is darkness or destruction. When the equilibrium between these qualities gets disrupted, the act of creation starts. Raja's quality leads to creation, therefore, Purush and Prakriti cannot exist independently. They must exist together and in harmony in order to create. They are complementary to each other. Let's move to the next, which is third gender in normative text. Here, I considered four most important normative text, which is first is Manusmriti, also known as Hindu law book, to be the most popular, prominent, and authoritative legal text among Dharma Shastra texts. Manusmriti mentions dividing his own body, the Lord became half male and half female. With that female, he produced Virat Purush, is created by Lord Brahma, who split into two male and female parts. The text tries to delve into the reason for birth of individuals with different sexes. A male child is produced by a greater quantity of male seed and a female child by the prevalence of the female. And if both are equal, a hermaphrodite, or a boy or and a girl, if both are weak or deficient in quantity, a failure of conception results. Apart from a male female child can be born. The term Kumskrayo is used for such individuals. It is noteworthy that only the Kliba is mentioned as one who cannot partake of oblations to mains, even though being a Brahmin who is unproductive for the society cannot perform an action which is again aimed at fun or some result or reward. Elsewhere, also, Manu repeats the injunction. It is clear that being a eunuch is treated as being impure or polluting. Even their look is considered to be prohibited. Next, Narada Smriti has its own importance in the Dharma Shas text. Narada Smriti is a documentation of judicial procedure, justice punishment system, and state roles and duties. Narada Smriti describes shampooing the private parts of body and rubbing the master's limb are considered to be works of Tritiya Prakriti in the Kama Sutra. In chapters 3 Purush, Yoga, many verses reflect the characteristics of Sri Purush and Kliba for the purpose of marriage. In marriage, brawn was a prime consideration. Narada Smriti states some important characteristics of masculinity. One who possesses those characteristics is a man, otherwise, he should be treated as impotent. The third gender notion is revolving around the functionality of fertility. The man who is not physically or mentally fit and not able to procreate is considered as impotent. Women is considered as field, whereas man's semen is considered to be the seed. Field should be given to those who had seed to sow. One who does not possess seed is supposed to be in the category of third gender. Narada Smriti has mentioned different types of impotence whose potency of reproduction is spatio-temporal. Narada Smriti clearly mentioned the characteristics of masculinity who does not own the quality of man is reckoned as impotent. Now, the Kautilya's Earth Shastra is an ancient treatise on statecraft, economic policy, and military strategy. Arthashastra and Manusmriti mentioned each other. Arthashastra has many verses which refer to third gender, such as the eunuchs were not to be given any share in the property. This was the same treatment as meted out to the disabled and outcasts. Unimportant, eldest son shall have only one third of the special share usually given to the eldest. And if the eldest son follows a condemnable occupation, or if he has given up the observance of religious duties, he shall have only one fourth of the special share. If he is unrestrained in his actions, he shall have nothing. Last but not least, Kama Sutra is generally regarded as the classical textbook for sex. It projected as a text that reflects the sensual life of ancient Indian society. Vatsyayan, writer of Kama Sutra, mentions third gender as Tvitiya Prakriti in the lesson 9 of chapter 2. Tvitiya Prakriti perhaps indicates the third sex in sense of sexual orientation and sexual behavior. Many scholars, including Burton, use the term eunuchs throughout translation of the text of Tritiya Prakriti. Eunuchs refer to the man who had been castrated. However, castration was not done in ancient India. There are two sorts of person of the third nature in the form of a woman and in the form of a man. The one in the form of a woman imitates a women dress, chatter, grace, emotions, delicacy, timidity, innocence, frailty, and bashfulness. Kama Sutra, along with the other Vedic texts, post Vedic texts, and temple sculptures, is used as evidence of Hindu tradition of ancient India to argue that past practices have accepted and allowed the expression of homosexual or gay. Now come to the representation of transgender in Indian art and literature. The recognition of the third gender is recorded in Indian history as early as 8th century BC. The Rig Veda, for example, says that before creation of the world, like all distinctions, including those of sex and gender. Uh, Ancient poets often express the concept of third gender with androgynous or hermaphrodite images, such as male with a womb, male deity with breasts, etc. The earliest images of Ardhanarishwar dates back to Kushan period of 1st century AD. The iconography developed in the Gupta period. It is believed that the iconography is inspired by Vedic deities Yam and Yami. The common iconography shows the male half as epiphallic and with the female left having round breasts and holding a mirror. The fusion of Shiv and Shakti representing the male and female halves transcends the distinction between and limitations of male and female and takes the Lord to a level that is beyond gender. The depiction of Ardhanarishwar and other transgender figures in sculptures and inscription underscores the integration of transgender identities in religious and cultural contexts. These representations reflect a societal acceptance or reverence for gender diversity. This slide shows some sculptures and paintings from Khajuraho temples constructed by Chandelas, which shows rich history of transgender. Now, transgender in social framework. The presence of a third gender category in Vedic texts and Dharma Shastras indicate a social recognition of transgender individuals. Veda uncovers transgender individuals who were not merely passive spectators but active participants in religious rituals, royal courts, and other facets of society. It reveals the fluidity of gender roles and the recognition of a third gender category in ancient India, providing valuable insights into the acceptance and tolerance that characterized this period. The socio-political landscape of ancient India, characterized by changing dynasties and the religious movements, significantly influence the acceptance or marginalization of transgender individuals. Transgender individuals demonstrated resilience and adaptability in navigating societal changes. No less interesting is the exploration of these intersex people about cultural participation in Indian society. Unlike Western society, where transgenders often keep their lifestyle secret, transgenders in India have an active and celebrated lifestyle. Hijras are unique because they have an active social organization that is both traditional and ritualistic. Hijras earn a living by performing a traditional ceremony which occurs either at marriage occasion or at the postnatal stage of a baby. Surprisingly, these in between sexed people transcend caste and kinship affiliation as they come from all cultures of our India, maybe Hindu, Muslim, Christian, or whatever. In last, I would like to conclude it by saying that third gender people had a better position in the society in pre colonial India. The present study was an attempt to explore the notions of sex and gender in ancient India with respect to third gender and locate their position in the ancient Indian society. Transgender individuals in ancient India exhibited remarkable adaptability and resilience in response to societal changes. Historical accounts, such as those presented by Iravati Karve, illustrate how transgender communities navigated evolving norms, demonstrating their agency and versatility. The findings of this research have significant implications for contemporary discussions on gender identity and acceptance by highlighting the historical acceptance and contributions of transgender individuals. The study advocates for a more inclusive and equitable approach to gender diversity in modern society. The exploration of the historical position of transgender individuals in ancient India reveals a rich and diverse tapestry of gender identities. Thus, the representation of transgenderism has become an inevitable part of our cultural studies. Its ethics and values should not only be preached in our four-walled classrooms or on online platform, but also be revered earnestly. These are some references I have mentioned here, which really helped me in this research. Um, Yeah, I hope this presentation has provided you with valuable insights into the historical position of transgender individuals in ancient India. Let us continue to honor and recognize the diversity of human experiences, both past and present, as we advocate for inclusivity and acceptance in our global community. Thank you for your